Alright, so the next box of goodies we got now is going to be for data logging and monitoring. As you guys saw with the NGauge, obviously I had to have the rest of the package. This is just an extra suction cup, I don't need that. We got a O2 bung to put in the X pipe. We got a ATA circuit for the power for the ZT-2 box, which we'll get into that in a second. So we got signal to go from the Zeitronix ZT-2 to the NGauge. We have a Zeitronix 3.5 bar map sensor to go for boost signal. We have the signal cable to go from the wideband O2 sensor up to the Zeitronix ZT-2. And we have the Bosch, was it LSU 4.7, some shit like that sensor. But this is the wideband sensor. And as you guys probably have already guessed, this is the Zeitronix ZT-2 data logging box with obviously all the options. So as you guys know, 07 to 2010 GT500s do not have widebands built in. So this is my option for a wideband. So we're going to get this up underneath the dash. We have many other wires for data logging to other sensors. The only thing we're really worried about right now is getting an accurate boost reading from that 3.5 bar map sensor. Just because the stock boost reading, as I understand, is very, very wildly off. It's through some kind of calculation through flow input from the MAF, which I understand is wildly off. I can tell you the split second I tip into the throttle, I pin that boost gauge to whatever it is, 15 pounds. I am not making 15 pounds, I can promise you that. But this, we will find out for sure what it is really making. More importantly, the major thing I wanted was the actual wideband. We got to see air to fuel. I know what the car is doing and what it should be doing. However, I want to be able to monitor this. That was the whole reason why I went with that NGauge. I am not ready to, how we say, tune the car for the moment. But this is going to give me an understanding of what the car is doing so I can log it and monitor it and make sure it is safe. So that is going to be the next thing coming up in this series, is getting this hooked up. I'm taking the car this week to get it inspected, and as soon as that's inspected, I'm taking that catted X pipe off, putting on the off-road X pipe, and then we're going to get some of this stuff plumbed in. So I am running the wiring for the Zeitronix ZT-2. We are in the passenger side fender liner. And if you can see where the coat hanger is going through, I cut off the tip of the nub there and fish the coat hanger through, and we're going to go ahead and fish the harness through there that comes up, I believe, right below the glove box. So right here is the tip of the harness that has to go in for the ZT-2 into the cabin. I'm just going to tape that up onto the end of the coat hanger and then use that to fish it through. Easy peasy 1, 2, 3 that went right through, and you can see the cable is right there, comes out right behind the glove compartment. So next thing we'll do is get the sensor in, and we'll find a spot to mount the box underneath the dash somewhere. Alright, I decided to go in through the driver's side instead. You're going to see another boot where the main harness comes in. I cut a slice in that. I'm going to feed it down through the driver's side, only because I'm going to be using the driver's side bank of the O2 sensor and running it across the bay I am not fond of. So we're going to go ahead and route that through again and try on the other side. So we got the wire routed up through there, and you see it's dangling down through there. It's going to go to the driver's side fender, and you probably won't see it, but it is hanging down right around there underneath the dash. So now we got the Zeitronix O2 sensor, and we're going to go ahead and get the factory sensor out and get this plugged in. Alright, so factory sensor, we're going to unplug from the main harness and undo from the pipe, which is nice and loose because I just had the pipe off 2 days ago. Alright, stock sensor out. And Zeitronix sensor screwing in. Alright, sensor's in. Now I'm just going to have to feed the wires up. We're going to have a shit ton of slack since I went on the driver's side of the car. But we'll go ahead and get the wires bundled up and get it all wired in. Alright, wideband O2 sensor in. I loosened up this plate back here, and if you can see, I routed the cable back behind that plate to try and keep it against or away from the header, which I think I did a good job. Loosened up this bolt, tucked it into that rail where the, I don't know if the fuel lines are in there or something else going to the back. I think it's for fuel lines though. So I tucked it into there and tucked the harness back. We're just going to tuck it up into the wheel well. Old harness is up here. We're going to zip tie this up. Connectors for the wideband right there. We're going to zip this up to the cables for the transmission. And you see the ZT-2 cable for the wideband tucked up there. Again, I went up behind that metal plate. We get the zip tied up so these don't fall down, kind of like this side is, and doesn't melt against the header, or at least mitigate it melting from the header. Next thing we're going to do, since we have the NGauge out, you're going to see that there's another connector on the back that's, I guess, an RJ11. Basically, it is a phone line cord. We're going to plug that in the back. This is going to be what connects the ZT-2 to the NGauge. And you're not going to be able to see it here because of light, but there's a panel right here that I can pop off and run the wires down. Alright, so the next thing on the agenda today is to get the 3.5 bar map sensor hooked up. Just has some miscellaneous vacuum lines on it because I did get it used. But we're going to simplify this down to get it onto the blower. So essentially we got to get the signal in line with the boost vac source from the factory, and get the sensor in line, and then route all this wiring through the same grommet probably that I did for the other wiring. And we'll keep the sensor up in the bay. To me, it's just easier to keep this close up to the vacuum source rather than routing a lot of vacuum and keeping this under the dash. Essentially, what we're probably going to do, I haven't taken too close of a look yet, but we're probably going to take from this vacuum source right here that goes to the fuel pressure regulator, I guess that is. So we're going to go in line with that, and then probably route the wiring out through the back of the blower along the firewall, and then down on the other side through the wheel well, or there's another grommet through there. So we'll go ahead and get this routed up and rock and roll. Alright, so what I decided to do instead, I did not like how the white vacuum line looked over here, plus I didn't like how it fit. So I rigged up this setting. And going off of the factory vacuum off of the front of the snout underneath the blower. So we're going to go ahead and do that and then route it all underneath. You can see underneath the auxiliary pulley and underneath the snout pulley, and then we'll route the wires up through there underneath the intake and keep it all clean that way. Alright, so we'll try and get some light down there so you can see right underneath where that oil plug is, that black oil drain plug I guess it is. You can see where the factory boost line goes in. So see how I teed it off, it stays factory looking. This line is in the exact same orientation, and if you can see the boost sensor down there right about where my middle finger is, tucked underneath the snout, and then right there is the harness coming off. So we'll tuck it up underneath the coolant lines over by the catch can, and then underneath the intake and down through the firewall. So keep it nice and clean, and you don't even notice that area was touched. So I got the wire routed, tucked it around here, went down and through this crevice here, underneath the, I guess this is for AC condenser maybe. Tucked underneath the AC condenser, there's a hole that goes down here that then comes out into the wheel well. If you have a GT500 or even a regular S197, I guess the hole's right there. Route it down, and we got our harness here. I extended the harness by an extra like 2 feet or so, just in case. So you can see soldered and heat shrunk connections here. and then the end of the wire loom for the harness. So I'm going to feed this into the car through the same area, if you can see back there, where we did the wideband harness, and it's going to drop out underneath the dash, and then we're going to figure out where we're going to mount the, you'll see my box of shit here, we're going to figure out where we're going to mount the Zeitronix ZT-2 box, and make all the connections in the car. Now you guys can laugh all you want, this is ghetto, but it works. I just tie up or tape up the wires to a old coat hanger, and then I fish that coat hanger through, and it pops out underneath the dash. Just undo the tape, and bing bang boom, done. So yes, there's probably cooler ways to do this, but guess what? I deal with the shit I got around my house. So I've been doing this for years, and I've always used it, and it works great. So we'll stick with what works. So we'll get this fish through. Alright, so you can see we got it through. Easy peasy, took about 3 seconds to route that through. And if I can get enough light back here, you guys can see the harnesses hanging down here before I get them all tucked up. We got the signal cable for the NGauge. We got the O2 cable going to the Zeitronix. And we got the wires for the 3.5 bar map sensor. And then up here you can see the OBD2 port plug for the NGauge. Alright, other guys that have what's considered to be normal men garages or smaller garages, you're going to understand my struggle here. I'm going to try not to complain too much because, you know, I do feel blessed with what I have, but fuck man, the kind of stuff I get done in these small garages makes me wonder how dangerous I would be in you know, like a real garage. So this is the space that I get from the SN95 from the step. I'm going to be cutting this step out, and then obviously I parked on an angle to get more space out there. So now that I have a little bit of room, just a little bit of room to crawl through to get to the GT500. GT500's on the floor now, and now we can get the wiring through, up through the, underneath the dash. I'm used to every other car where the fuse box is on the driver's side, so I ran everything up through the driver's side just to find out fuse box on the SM1 or S197s are all the way on the passenger side, so fuck me. No big issue. I can route the cables across, route the wires across like I do, but as you see, I had to get the car on the floor, pull the car pretty much, you know, within 2.5 feet of the wall to be able to get my door open. So if I can't get my door open, my fat ass can't get in to sit on the floor to route the wires up underneath. So you will see the space that I have back here. Yes, I have a little bit of space now to work back here, but it's tough, man. It's just really tough. This is the shit that I gotta deal with sometimes. So yes, I know it could be worse, but fuck, it's just a pain in the ass sometimes. So now that I'm done with my tirade, got a little bit of light underneath here, and you're gonna see the wires that come down through. This is the pre-made harness for the wideband. This is the extended wires that I made for the boost sensor, 3.5 bar map sensor. This is the data cable that goes from the ZT-2 up to the NGauge. So I'm going to go ahead and route these across underneath the dash somewhere, zip tie them up, get them all the way to that side because the fuse box is all the way over that side. So I should have enough length and everything. If not, I'm going to go ahead and mount that ZT-2 behind the radio, and then really the only thing going to the fuse box is going to be, you know, just power really from the ZT-2. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff tucked up, and we'll be back. Alright, so if you guys can see, I tucked the harness back behind that plug, zip tied everything up, ran it up through, and I can't see the camera, so hopefully you can see. Ran it all up across, zip tied it through that harness, and went down through the cubby back there behind the radio. So everything's fed over to the other side. I got just enough on there for the boost sensor wiring that I should be able to tuck the ZT-2 up underneath the glove box somewhere and get everything all plugged in. Alright, so I got the panel off. I took off the whole panel instead of just doing the small part of the access panel for the fuse box. Figured it'll just make it easier. We got the fuse box diagram to tell us which are opens, so I can do my out of circuit and I have the Zeitronix ZT-2 instructions. So what we're looking for off of the Zeitronix harness, we're going to be looking for the colors to do the boost sensor, which orange is for input, yellow is for power, and brown is for ground. So here is the sensor coming off of the boost sensor. I got to get creative with this one because it had a green, black, and red. So I didn't have enough green wire. I made that yellow. So hopefully that doesn't confuse me when I go ahead and wire that stuff up. So in here it tells me what wires are going to what. We know that the green is the boost input, which that is going to be yellow here. So green from the ZT-2 to my yellow, or I'm sorry, not green, orange from the ZT-2 to my yellow, brown from ZT-2 to black in my harness, and then yellow in the ZT-2 to red in here. And then out of the ZT-2 we got the red for power, black for ground, and then on the other side of the ZT-2 box, so we got inputs and outputs. These are the signals, inputs, and the O2 sensor output and data communicator. Alright, again, nice and neat, soldered and heat shrunk wires. Most of the harness is done. Now basically we just need a ground signal, and we need a fuse link at one of the spare spots in the fuse box, and we're ready to start data logging. Alright, so I just kind of got the wires dropped in here. I still got to hide everything, but we went off of fuse number 13 in the fuse block with an ATA circuit, and you can see at the bottom of the ECU hold-in panel, I grounded it out to there, and you can see the Zeitronix ZT-2 hanging up there out of the way. I'm going to get all the wires and shit hidden in a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and fire this up and see if the sensors are reading. Alright, so we're going to go into gauges and let it connect. I still have to figure out the auto connect feature on this thing. We're going to do round gauge. Alright, we're going to change the round gauge to I think there's one that's ZT-AFR. This always sucks doing it with your finger. I really hate the touchscreen on this fucking thing. Alright, now with my daughter's purple stylus, I was able to get to the ZAFR. That should be for the ZT-2. And with any luck, this thing should be reading. So far it's showing 14.7. That's not the way I want to see this. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and change the way this graphical display works. Alright, so I think I finally got this motherfucker going. Whenever you're using the Zeitronix, you have to scroll to anything that has Z for the auxiliary sensors. So my assumption is ZAFR is the correct one for the wideband controller. As you can see, it is changing a little bit as I hit the gas. So we know it's reading, and Z map is going to be for boost. Again, you can see that changing from you know, high vacuum to lower vacuum. I'm going to go ahead and set up the rest of the sensors. I'm not exactly sure what all I want to see yet, but we're going to go ahead and take it around the block and make sure everything is looking the way I want it to look. I'm going to apologize ahead of time, guys. This whole series has been broken up under multiple days. As you guys know, any normal guy like me, you're gonna see on YouTube, I'm a working guy, you know, 9 to 5 type thing. I come home, I'm a father to children, I'm a father to many animals, I'm a husband, I have shit to do around the house.
So sometimes when my videos don't make sense or they look like they cut off abruptly, it's because I got done, or thought I got done with the videos, and went through editing and found out I did not do a closer or an opener or something like that. So I'm coming back now at editing time and making a closer. The car is done, at least the data logging part is done per se. Let me correct that. The NGauge is done. I have not data logged yet. I still need to set up an extra laptop that I have. Get the, I believe it's HP Tuners has data logging software. I'm going to hook that up into the laptop, and I can make a video on that later, just so we can kind of keep these smaller videos and keep you guys interested a little bit. Some guys have bitched that my videos are too long, so I'm trying to keep you guys engaged. So we're going to get a laptop on the next one, get the software installed. We're going to get all the sensors that I want to see on the gauge set up in the correct format. I drove the car for like 2 days, made some pulls on it. I know the AFR is working. I know the boost signal is working, so we're good. I just got to log it now and do something with the data. If you guys are doing full pulls on your car, you're going to know you're not looking at that fucking gauge anyway because you're trying to keep the car straight. So I just kind of wanted that for my graphical use. If something's going wrong, I see my AFR go nuts, I know something's wrong. I see, you know, another signal going crazy, I know something's wrong, I'll shut down the car. Do it during pulls though, I'm just going to hope it feels good and I'll go back and look at the data later. That's what normal guys do. So in closing, we're going to stop this video. Make sure to come back for the next one. I'm very behind. I'm like a month and a half behind on videos. So I'm going to be getting more out. I'm giving you guys a little bit more peeks of the car as we're adding and changing things. And we've already started getting that out on the street. If you guys see from the other video, I wasn't ready to race a VMP S550 on my dry rotted NT555 non-R versions. So I learned a very hard lesson that night. I'm getting beat the fuck up locally about that race. So we got drag radials on the car. But you guys are going to see that on the next video anyway. Catch me on the next one. I'm going to keep on giving you guys data. If you guys are happy about the GT500 content, I know I'm happy to make it because I'm not really seeing a lot of GT500 content other than VMP throwing a blower on and making a dyno pull or somebody doing burnouts in the street. I'm trying to show you guys how to actually work on your car and set it up to be able to do all the shit that the guys are showing that they're doing. But they're missing the actual, you know, building it part. So stay tuned, please like and subscribe, share these videos. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. We're at 870 something. So we're almost at that point to start kind of, sort of, almost, maybe kind of be taken seriously. So I really appreciate your guys' support. Again, if you guys weren't watching the videos and didn't care, I wouldn't make them. I'm making them more for you guys than for me. I got plenty of other shit to do. As you see, I got t-shirts to make. And orders to fulfill of that. But if you guys keep watching them, I'm going to keep on making them. Reach out, let me know, give me some feedback, and I will try my best to make them better as we go. And thanks a lot for the support, guys.